This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new edition of SportsHour on Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I'm James Gonzalez, of course, and that blob over there, white circle over there is Crispy Bacon. Hopefully you're doing fine wherever you may be. Oh, there you is. How are you this evening?
I'm good, not too bad. Almost a holiday week, so yeah, not too bad.
I'm looking for tamales, so any grandma out there, I'm looking for someone to make tamales, and I will pay.
I just normally buy the store-bought, but they're good too.
I would have to dress it up. I know that. Be sure, of course, to watch all the shows on Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. Let me tell you something. So I woke up early as hell on, what was that, Tuesday, and they had Seat Rinkum.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about people from states, and I was shocked by some. They had, like Oregon, Oklahoma. I want to say the Dakotas were in there. But that was a lot of fun, finding out where people are from and all that. So check out that, of course, the day before us. And then Thursday would be kicking it, but we haven't had that around in a while. But maybe we'll find a day for that. Friday, of course, Entertainment Hour. I already have the script already, so that'll be coming out soon to the crew, and then we'll have that show on Friday. Sunday, morning tailgate.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be back with that. Week 16 NFL action going on.
Going on.
Yeah. That's on Sunday, of course. Monday, C2C at night. Press row with Callan as well. I believe on the 23rd. And then after that, I think we're going to skip, Christmas week and the first night of Hanukkah. I think we're going to skip that and come back the next week, maybe with a morning tailgate. But just tune in to whatever show we got going on and comment. Put 5 stars. 5 stars on Facebook? Mm-hmm. That really helps out the channel and the program. So let's get it kicked off here. We'll do a quick recap of the Week 15 of the NFL, and it started off with a field goal game, the first one of the season. The Rams in the weather in Santa Clara facing the Niners. It was a 12-6 LA win. San Francisco, it seems like they're falling apart, Chris. They had Devondre Campbell leave the game in the third quarter, just basically quit on his team. He was suspended the rest of the season, I want to say. Probably just cut him. But that was just a weird sight to see. I don't know if you saw that, Chris, but how do you feel when you see that? Somebody quitting on your quitting on the team like that, just obvious like that.
It's interesting that he quit on them, but they're not going to quit on him. And I think they didn't want to release him or cut him because maybe something to do with the salary cap, or they didn't want him to clear waivers and get on another team, and then they have to deal with that on the field.
Yeah.
So there's a lot probably to that. But it's like I said, it's interesting that he quit on them, but they're not quitting on him per se.
Something tells me it's a players association thing where player has that right. So we'll see what happens. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but stranger things have happened. The Chiefs did beat the Browns 21-7, but Pat Mahomes got his left ankle hurt. It was caught under. Kansas, yeah. Kansas City forced 6 turnovers, 4 were picks by Jameis Winston. He was benched later, and he lost his starting job. DTR will get the start for Cleveland coming up. The Bengals won over the Titans in Tennessee, 37-27. Joe Burrow is playing out of his mind. 3 touchdowns. He did have a couple of picks, but 1 touchdown was to Sam Hubbard, a defensive end. Will Levis, though, oh my God, he had another 3-pick game. 1 was a pick 6. Yeah, and by the way, there were 10 turnovers total in the game. It was just a horrible game. And then there were 50 turnovers altogether before the Monday night games, I think. So 50 on Thursday and then Sunday. No, just all in week 15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was one stat I couldn't believe. Washington held on to beat the Saints 20-19. It came down to the Saints going for 2 because they literally had nothing else to, go for, really, and they couldn't get the 2-point conversion. But Washington, they clinched another, their winning season. Their last playoff berth was 2020, and they're almost at that. They had the first winning season since 2016, and it's the best 14-game start since 1992. The Ravens went to New Jersey to play the Giants. It was 35-14. The Ravens just did so well. Mark Andrews became the top touchdown scorer in Ravens history at 49. Lamar Jackson had 5 touchdowns thrown. That's the 3rd time of his career he's had a 5-touchdown game. And then Bateman had 2 of them, and he had his 7th touchdown of the season, 6 and 7. It was the 9th straight loss for the Giants that secured the first pick right now, at least for the Giants. Cowboys, talk about your Cowboys. They won in Carolina 30-14. What went right for the Cowboys?
Everything. The defense, the offense looked a little kind of shaky at the beginning, but we picked it up quite literally and figuratively. And we're looking to, beat Tampa Bay. That's going to be a tough task. Needing Washington to lose, but we win and they win. It doesn't really matter. If we win, they lose. We're good to go. Just to stay alive.
So I read this earlier. And they were saying the way that the Cowboys could get in, they're 6-8 right now. And the way that they could get in, and Jerry's, of course, on the front of it. So this has to happen. The Cowboys must win out. They play Tampa Bay, they're at Philadelphia, and then they host Washington. That's a tough task.
I think this was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, this is what I have today. Washington must lose out. They host Philadelphia, and they host the Falcons, which we'll talk about. And then they host they're at Dallas, Dallas. And also this, the Falcons must win out and win the NFC South with the 10-7 record. They host the Giants. They're at Washington, and they play Carolina. And then the Buccaneers have to lose to Dallas and one of their next 2 games on their remaining schedule. And they play at Dallas, do the Bucs, and then they host Carolina and New Orleans to end the season. And one NFC West team has to finish with a better record than 9-8. and everybody's 8-6, 7-7, or 6-8. So all that has to happen
There's
for
not
the
a 4
Cowboys
in
to make
there?
it.
There's
Huh?
not a 4 in there? The
No,
Cowboys have to do this, or they could do this. There's no or in there.
there's just those slim chances, and it could be over. Shoot, I remember when the Raiders last couple of years before this awful year, they had all these damn scenarios because they couldn't get it going. But yeah,
And what was it? The Steelers, like the final game was like the Steelers and Chargers.
well, no, in 21, 22, they prevent the Chargers to get in by winning, and also the Steelers got in too. And then last year, because the Raiders won, the Steelers got in, I want to say, or had the opportunity. Yeah, the Cowboys had the easy win. Rush had 3 passing touchdowns. He was feeling himself. Lamb was good as 2. The defense had a great game. The sad part is that Carolina were favorites. But Bryce Young, it seemed like he went back to his old ways, sadly. It was just unfortunate to see that. All right, the Jets and the Jaguars. The Jets held on to win 32-25. Devontae Adams had a great second half, 9 catches, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall had a late touchdown. And then Sauce Gardner had an easy pick off Mac Jones. For the Jets win, it was the first pick for Sauce Gardner since 2022, which is crazy to think about. He hasn't had an interception until then. The Texans win 20-12, but it was a sloppy game. Tua had 3 picks. Houston also had their shares of turnovers. But you got to give credit to Houston, I should say, winning their second division in a row after 2 years of just 3 wins and 4 wins. Stroud and Nico Collins are heating up together, so that might be good for them going forward. The Colts and Broncos played, and that was also a sloppy game by Richardson. The Broncos won 31-13. I think a lot of that was just based on the Colts, turnovers. A fumble by Pittman Jr. And then Jonathan Taylor, I don't know if you saw this, but he dropped the ball before he got to the goal line.
Oh no!
And then
I remember an Eagles player did that.
Deshaun Jackson at Dallas.
Yep. Yeah.
That was the last year of Texas Stadium, by the way, in 2008.
That was awesome. 2008, 2009, I think it was.
Yeah. And then there was a lateral or a double pass that was taken away by Nick Bonatino, I think he's a rookie linebacker for Denver. Anyway, their defense has been tremendous this year. The Bills and Lions, they played a hell of a game. The Bills showed up defensively for a while, better than against the Rams. They held on to win 48-42. Detroit made it interesting at the end. There's a lot on this list here, but Jim Nantz saying this was a possible Super Bowl preview, and then whoever won this game would be the new America's team. So how do you feel about the Bills now being America's team, Chris?
The Bills are not America's team.
That's what Jim Nantz said.
Well, he's wrong. Okay, maybe he isn't on that point of, like success on the field. But I think, truthfully, thinking about it, like thoroughly, America's team is Dallas because everybody wants to watch Dallas. Anytime Dallas is on TV, ratings go up.
That's why they were not flexed out.
Well, part of it, yes.
Sunday night.
Yeah. Well, I was talking Monday, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, just because they had that Simpsons, where Lisa Simpson as Jamar Chase went off.
And, yeah. And they already put in the work for that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, you can't change anything.
It was 1 versus 2 offensively, by the way. The Lions and the Bills. The Bills have the best turnover margin in the league. And this is the 8th straight game with more than 30 points for the Bills. Think about that. They're hitting their stride. Allen, again with all those stats, 10 touchdowns the last 2 games. He had 6, 3 in the air, 3 on the ground against LA, and then 4 against Detroit. By the way, Detroit, they lost 2 more defensive players, and Montgomery might be out for the year. Just something they really don't need. They already had 13 players on the IR that are defensive. So it's the highest scoring game, by the way, this season. That was, the week before with the Rams and Bills. So it's crazy how that happened. The Steelers and Eagles. Eagles won 27-13. And, it came down to Jalen Hurts playing better. Seems like him and A.J. Brown are just fine. They had a dance together. They hooked up for a touchdown. So the Battle of the Keystone State went to Philly. One fumble by Najee Harris really did the Steelers in. And then T.J. Watt, he left the game with that left foot injury, and it looked really worse at first. We'll see if he plays this week. A.J. Brown also left the game with the late foot injury, but he was walking okay. Philly has won 9 straight games despite all the madness of the coach. Everybody not, trusting him and him being, rambunctious. Pittsburgh did clinch a playoff spot despite the loss. So that's just funny how it goes around this time of year. Patriots and Cardinals, whatever. 30-17, the Cardinals won to stay in that NFC West race. James Conner had 2 touchdowns for the Cardinals, and the Patriots had multiple turnovers. It just wasn't well for them. The Buccaneers and Chargers. Buccaneers won 40-17. Chargers just could not keep Justin Herbert upright. He had an interception for the first time since week 2, by the way, for Justin Herbert. Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans balled out for the Bucs. They hooked up for a touchdown. Bucs running game was back together, having Irving and White. They were awesome. Man, it feels like Justin Herbert's going to get killed one day. Not literally, of course. The Packers and Seahawks on Sunday Night Football. That was, after a while, that was just sleepy.
I got bored.
Yeah. The Packers won 30-13. Geno Smith got hurt. It was really no contest. Jordan Love played well. Jacobs, they each had a touchdown, winning easily. The defense did well. Seahawks got nothing going. Geno, like I said, left in the third quarter, and he didn't return. He was hit low on his knee, which that looked really worse than what it was. Monday Night Football was a doubleheader. That was also pretty boring. I wish I worked a doubleheader instead of watching the games. But I was listening to the Viking game because of Paul Allen, and I was watching the Raiders do what they do, dreadfully. But let's talk about the Vikings real quick. They won 30-12. They clinched a playoff berth. They did, but the night before, by the way, with the Packers winning. Somehow that worked out. But yeah, the Vikings won. Man, Caleb Williams looks lost for the Bears. I mean, they should bench him. I mean, when I think about it, Chris, at this time last year, he was already resting. He didn't have to play the bowl game. He took a game off. So he wasn't even playing this late into the season for USC. And now he's playing for the Bears, and he looks awful. He's missing passes. He was running wild when he didn't really need to. Sam Darnold's doing okay. What's funny, though, is the running game was good for the Bears, but just Caleb Williams couldn't get the ball to the receivers, and they have a plethora of them. So shout out, again to the Minnesota defense. And then it was great with Justin Jefferson making that touchdown catch. The recognition for Randy Moss before the game. You had Jake Reed and Chris Carter holding the Randy Moss jersey before the game at midfield. And I'll tell you what, those white jerseys that and helmets the Vikings had, those are ice cold. I really like those.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, I think every team could pull that off. I mean, the Cowboys already do that. The Bengals already do that.
Green Bay does it.
Green Bay had it on Sunday night. The the league could get icy. The
Giving
Falcons.
a cold shoulder.
The Falcons and some of their fans made it to Vegas for Monday Night Football. They held on to win 15-9. The Raiders came in already banged up. Max Crosby was needed for ankle surgery, so he wasn't going to play. I think that came on Friday or Saturday. Desmond Ridder got his first start against his former team, and he could run, but he couldn't pass well. It just couldn't happen. The Falcons, though, they needed this to keep pace with the Bucks. And Kirk Cousins, he got sacked a little bit, and then he wasn't making good throws at all. I mean, it was just really, really awful. And for that, Atlanta did win. But Crispy Bacon, they made a change. So out of all the games I talked about, what are some that stood out to you on Week 15 before we move on?
Man, I mean, Cowboys for one. I guess the Niner game, because it was no touchdowns. I don't know. Those are the only two I can think of.
Yeah. I was gonna say I don't know if we should read any of those comments, but I don't have any dreads. Maybe he's talking about your hair in the front there.
Probably.
I don't see that, but I'm not even gonna try to say that. Trios. That's gonna be wrong. So let's move on to that news about Michael Penix Jr. Okay, so he got the starting nod over Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, of course, hasn't thrown a touchdown in a while. He's thrown a lot of interceptions in this time. Probably should have been benched a while ago. They paid all that money for him too, $180, and it's just amazing to see that. But Penix Jr. He's one guy that I really wanted on the for the Raiders, but somebody had to draft him before that, of course. And remember, it was a controversial pick. He's been in some games this year, but during garbage time, and he's thrown okay. But again, that wasn't against like starters. Man, I think the move comes at a good time, though. I had that move after week 4, which is crazy, but because I didn't know what Kirk Cousins had. Remember, Kirk Cousins, he had 6 touchdowns in one game, I want to say, or 5 touchdowns one game in week 6, and then all of a sudden, all these weeks now, he can't do anything. So I'm happy to see Michael Penix Jr. I really am on Sunday when we talk about we'll talk about that morning tailgate, but man, what did you think when you saw the move today for Penix Jr. over Cousins?
Surprised, but not surprised. I think they should have done it sooner. Like maybe the first sign of struggle, but could be wrong about that. And I just think it's a good move, but it could have been sooner.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we'll go the previews quickly about Thursday and Saturday, because we won't be able to, of course, on Sunday because we can't go Back to the Future with that. So the Broncos play the Chargers. Yeah, Broncos play the Chargers. The Broncos are 9-5. The Chargers are 8-6. They're both in the wild card race for now. Chargers, I think, are the 3rd team, and the Broncos are the 2nd. And then Baltimore is right there with the 1st. Both are, the Chargers are 2 games ahead of the Bengals and the Dolphins, and then the Broncos, again, in 2nd place, 3 games above them all. To me, I think it's going to be more of the same defensively for the Broncos. I mean, Bo Nix has been really good this year. I don't know who's Rookie of the Year. Is it Daniels or Bo Nix? I'm really trying to figure that out, Chris.
I think it depends. Maybe it's Washington because I don't know if Denver can get into the playoffs.
Yeah,
It'll be
well,
whoever's team makes it to the playoffs.
that would be something. Washington holds a third wild card spot. Denver has a second, and both are really surprising. Their young defenses have shown up. Running game has been good.
Or if they both make the playoffs, I say to break the tie, whoever made it first.
That would be something, and it would be the Broncos, because it's a logjam to try to get in for the NFC right now. I think even the Saints are still alive somehow. I don't know. I think it was finally over, I should say, for them. So we have 2 Saturday games, and I know you wanted to go through these or preview them. We have
which one?
For Saturday. For the Texans at the Chiefs, and then the Steelers at the Ravens.
No. That's next week. That's Christmas.
No. I have it here Thursday, Saturday, and Saturday. And then they switch each other. Like these 4 teams play. No, it's Texans and Chiefs, Steelers and Ravens, and then on Christmas.
Okay.
The Chiefs are at the Steelers, and the Texans the Ravens are at Houston.
Oh, okay.
It's funny how these 4 teams, these 4 teams just intertwine with one another. It's just crazy how it is. But I'll tell you what, Chris, I'll start you off with Houston and Kansas City because Houston just won their division. They're probably not going to go any higher, of course, in the seeding. And then you have Pat Mahomes, who I would think would be a game-time decision. Carson Wentz might be thrown into the fire. Huh?
Rest Mahomes.
That's what I think. That's what I was just going to ask you because the Chiefs are 13-1. They already won their division. And if they win or Buffalo loses, they clinch the home field. That's what they want. So it seems like both teams doesn't have much to play for other from that.
But also think about this, and I know this goes, equally between all 4 teams, but especially with Mahomes. You play on Wednesday, Saturday to Wednesday.
Yep.
If you're going to play him one of these 2 games, play him the next game.
I think it was 3 games in 13 days for the Chiefs. For all these teams, I think it is. So yeah, I would say rest him as well. We get to see Carson Wentz play football. Okay. The Steelers and Ravens. This is, for the AFC North. Well, not officially, but the Steelers are 10-4 and the Ravens are 9-5. The Ravens have lost, I think, 8 straight to the Steelers, by the way. I'm going to, for some reason, I'm feeling that Lamar Jackson is going to be good in this game. I feel like Chris will be back, by the way. Steelers, I want to see if TJ Watt comes back better, and Russell Wilson hasn't been as good. But, Baltimore has been just on a roll right now. Everything's clicking for Lamar Jackson. I feel like the Ravens get this one. What about you, Chris?
For the second game?
Yeah. What do you think you think the Ravens will get this, or can the Steelers bounce back after a loss in Philly?
I think the Steelers can bounce back, but being that it's a Ravens home game, I see Baltimore winning it, but you also have Pittsburgh, in the playoffs, and I don't think it matters who you start. You've shown that it doesn't matter if it's Wilson or Fields, starting the quarterback, but Fields has been on the bench for a while. Maybe that's a bad idea.
Oh, yeah, you can't make that change. No.
No. I get that, but I'm just saying to get you to the playoffs, you're already in. But do you rest Wilson?
Maybe the last two. Well, they're trying to win the division, so I don't think they can. Maybe week 18. Maybe week 18 they'll do that. So yeah, the rest of the action we'll talk about on morning tailgate, and we'll have the recaps of all three games, I should say, Thursday and the 2 Saturday games. But yeah, there's a lot of teams that are just bad. A lot of what do you call it? A lot of quarterbacks aren't as good right now.
Quarterback's not as good. Quarterback's hurt. Quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's a mess.
And that's one of the most important positions. I know every position's important.
The most, yeah.
Because the ball goes through the quarterback first.
Yep. Kind of. Unless there's a return.
Well, yeah, but I mean, to get the play off, you need the quarterback.
All right, so let's get to the MLB really quick, because there's only one move that really stood out from yesterday. The Chicago Cubs traded Cody Bellinger to the New York Yankees for another Cody Poteet. That's a right-handed pitcher, and cash to the Yankees. So they traded Cody's and cash. It was a CCCC deal. This definitely helps them, the Yankees. You knew they were going to get an outfielder with Soto going across the borough to Queens, so that really helped out. Man, it just makes the Yankees more powerful. They still got to go out and get a first baseman. Remember, they got Max Fried, the former Braves starter. My guess, they'll probably go get Christian Walker, the Diamondback. But yeah, what's your reaction to Cody Bellinger going to the Yankees from the Cubs after he signed a 2-year deal to stay with Chicago too?
Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, oh, okay. That it's like that happened.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Didn't see that coming.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that was a real shocker, but I guess not really. Just because. Oh, the other thing too. So Giancarlo Stanton, right? The DH for the Yankees. His ex-girlfriend, I think, is Cody Bellinger's wife.
I saw that story.
Think that's what it is.
Or they dated. I can't remember. But
yeah,
like they divorced and all that, but they're separated. But
I remember this too. In 1977 or 76, whenever it was, there were Yankee teammates who swapped wives. So
okay,
I guess the Yankees aren't immune to everything. Okay, so yeah, here it is. Wait a minute. Oh, they don't have that. Yeah. So she's not that hot either. So yeah, that was Stanton in Miami, by the way. I think because he looks younger. Yeah. So I think they're married. I'm not sure, but it actually happened though. It did happen where people was wanting it, I guess, just for the madness. But I think both are grown enough to, not let that, get into the team. All right, so real quick, we'll get to a comment. Michael Garza saying, "Do you think Geno is a trustworthy quarterback for the Seahawks?"
Kinda.
God. Okay, so I know Seahawk fan really well, and I watch his team just for him. And the thing I know about Geno, he had a great first half of last year, right? And then just a bad, just good enough to make the playoffs last year. Bad half of the season. And this year, it's almost like he's been up and down, but more up. Like he makes some great throws, but also he'll give up on some plays, or he'll get pissed, he'll get hurt, he'll get sacked a lot. So he's just a mixed bag of things for Geno Smith. I don't think trustworthy. I think he's got another year left on his deal, and eventually you're gonna have to replace him. He's getting older. It's just amazing to think, Chris, how long he's been in the league. What was it, since 2010 or 2012? No, 2012, I think, with the Jets, when he had no talent around him. Sounds familiar, right? Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both guys left and went somewhere better after a while, had to find their way. Think of Geno Smith. He played for both Jersey teams, and they've been bad ever since he played for them. Both haven't made the playoffs since he played for him. But he finally found a permanent, or not permanent home, temporary home, I'll say. So I don't think he's trustworthy just because of the certain situations he's put in. That's what I would say about that. All right, let's get to. I can't remember who said meat and potatoes of the weekend. Right, the college football playoffs are almost here, and thank you, Chris. The schedule. I cannot wait for this. You wanna say the schedule out, Chris?
Yeah. So it starts Friday.
What?
Going to at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Indiana, who's ranked number 10, goes up against number 7 Notre Dame in Notre Dame.
That's an interstate rivalry right there. Usually for basketball, though.
Yeah, and
non-conference
remember all these first 4 games, no relation to basketball. Speaking of first 4, are going to be played at college campuses. So this will be played at Notre Dame. And then Saturday, there's going to be 3 games. That first game's going to be on ESPN and ABC. And then Saturday, you have number 11 SMU, somewhat of a local team. Well, it is a local team here for me.
Dallas.
Going to Penn State, number 6. That game is at noon Eastern, 11 a.m., 9 a.m. where you're at. On TNT and Max. That's going to be weird seeing TNT. Also on TNT and Max, 4 p.m. Eastern. You got number 12, Clemson, going to Texas, number 5 ranked Texas. And then to end the playoff, first round, at 8 p.m. Eastern, you have Tennessee, who's ranked number 9 in the playoff, going to Ohio State, number 8 ranked. Should be fun matchups.
Chris, I'm just wanting to see how the fans react having a playoff game. I mean, this has never been done before on the campuses, of course, on the stadiums, home stadiums. I want to see just how many people show up. I know the ticket prices, other from the Penn State game, have been outrageous. And just that first game, Chris, Indiana and Notre Dame, man. I really want Indiana to win, but it seems like Notre Dame has just been solid ever since that loss to Missouri State, I think it was, or Northern Illinois. Sorry, Northern Illinois by a field goal. They would be perfect without that loss, by the way. So, but I hate Notre Dame, of course. So I'm gonna go with them, but I hope Indiana wins that. I hope Cinderella. I hope it's not midnight for Cinderella. I hate that movie.
It's a battle of sports movies in the first one.
Hoosiers and
Rudy, I think.
Hoosiers, no, that was Hickory High School.
Oh.
So yeah, that can't be it. But both are really good basketball schools, or were. And now they're both football schools, which is just great to see again. Saturday, man, you have SMU. Hopefully they can keep it going. Like, I haven't watched much of their games, but I know they have a powerful offense.
They do.
That's all I know about them. And then Penn State, man, it seems like James Franklin, he can never win, a top tier game. He's like
top
3-21 when it comes to like playing top 10 teams or, playoff type games or something like that. He's been awful. I think he's on the definite hot seat. And then the way that they ended the season too, or not ended it, but when they lost to Ohio State at home, that was a killer there. But I think Penn State wins eventually. They have enough talent to do it. The only way of SMU just like outscores them, but I don't see that happening. Clemson in Texas. I'll go to you first because this is just huge with Texas. And then Clemson, you have their head coach, Dabo Swinney, that, has his way of doing things, and it's worked out. I mean, they got into the playoff barely, but it worked out. But, man, with Texas, you got to wonder about Ewers, if they could keep him upright and healthy. What do you think is going to happen with your Longhorns here?
I'm glad, they're in the playoff. Not their first rodeo, so to speak. I think it's going to be a good game, a close game. It's just going to be a good matchup, win or lose.
All right, and then to end the Saturday, you got Tennessee and Ohio State. I don't know if you, after the loss to Michigan, right? You wonder about Ryan Day and his time there left with Ohio State. This is just going to be interesting if they lose to Tennessee. I haven't seen much of Tennessee this year, but to get in from the SEC, to barely get in like they did is a great thing. And with Ohio State, you got to realize, hey, that you're fortunate to even be there. You have all this damn talent, and you better get it done. Or else if you're a first round exit, he might be gone. They lost, he's lost 4 straight to Michigan in a row. And if you lose your first playoff game, I think you're done. I think he's done if they lose. What do you think about this Ohio State game, man?
I hope, if they did lose, that he doesn't leave, but I mean, crazier things have happened, so Ohio State's going to be a tough team, and it's not their first rodeo. It is in this sense, that or the first round, but it's not their first time in the college football playoff. They were the inaugural winners of the playoff. So we'll see what happens.
All right, what about the other matchups? Who you got? The other games here, or the games? Yeah, pick them.
All right.
Sure.
We'll go Notre Dame.
What?
Sorry, SMU. I'm going to go Penn State.
What?
Cold weather and all that.
That's a thing too. When you have like Tennessee going to Ohio, you have SMU, Dallas going to Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. That's always the thing that we were wondering about. This first week is the matchups like that. SEC school going up there,
and being here in Texas, not really. It's probably in the 50s here,
right?
50 to 60. It's going to be about 30s there, and they're showing.
That's the high. That's the high.
And they're showing SMU practicing in shorts.
Yeah. Ain't gonna need those.
No, you're gonna need
more than that.
Skis, clothes, and all that. But those 2 teams I got, and then I'm gonna say Texas wins it, and then Ohio State. So pretty much the home teams, I think.
Yeah. I think that's the safest way to go. I know there's going to be a lot of money on the home teams and the favorites. I'll know more as we get there. But
Well, I know Notre Dame's a good team, and then you got 2 of the 3 Saturday games in cold weather.
Yeah, because Texas, it won't be. It's just gonna be weird to have a December home game. That's just gonna be the weirdest thing.
It's a December to remember.
And then look at this too. What was it? Like the Hurricanes in the 80s or whatever it was, or early 90s. They would always have the Orange Bowl, right, at the Orange Bowl Stadium. And there was like 3 or 4 times where they happened to be in the Orange Bowl, and it was for the championship. Other from that, like I can't remember a bowl game. Maybe when UCLA made the Rose Bowl, and which hasn't happened since like 94, 95. But I don't think you count I guess USC at the Rose Bowl because they're near there. But it's just, you remember how the Super Bowls, you know how what was it? Tampa Bay played at their stadium for the Super Bowl, and then the Rams played at their stadium for their Super Bowl win. So it's just funny how the hell these things work out, like that. Another comment too from Michael, and we thank you. Hopefully you subscribe to all the shows and all that. The network, I should say. Says he loves the analysis by us. Analysis, excuse me. I'm way off. Gino makes me nervous too sometimes. Yeah. That's been the whole thing with him, and then it was such a risk to bring him back. I know they said it was a 2-year, 3-year deal, but it was basically off of last year if they were going to bring him back or not. But he had such a, let's just say, a solid enough year to bring him back for the next 2. But this year, like I said, it's been more up and down than down, but you just don't want to self-destruct at the worst time. And everybody's healthy now. You got to do it now. If you don't do it now, you may not ever do it with him. So that's just the way it is. Okay, we'll quickly get through the NBA segment because the NBA Cup was yesterday, and the what was it? The Milwaukee Bucks defeated the Oklahoma City Thunder. I didn't give a damn about it, to be honest with you. I think it's a gimmick and all that crap. I just didn't care about the NBA Cup. It was on a day, a Tuesday, where you had bowl games, and then I was at work till it was over, basically. I mean, I hadn't even checked the score or anything like that. I just saw like they had interviews on YouTube with, Giannis and Dame Dalla and all that. It is cool, though, for those players that don't make as much. They get that, bonus money or whatever it is, and they get a time in Vegas. So I guess that's a good thing. But other from that, there were a lot of empty seats from what I saw. And you don't have like the big
don't
stars.
Gamble it all at once.
That's the only thing too. Some of those players are going to be like, "Hey, let's go gamble it all away," and you're basically stuck with what you came with. Your regular ass paycheck. So it's just weird how it goes. All right, so for all our teams, the Clippers with me and Dallas for you. The Clippers right now, they have a record of 15-12. They destroyed the Utah Jazz, which everyone else is, 144-107. James Harden had 41 points in that game on Monday. By the way, the Mavericks and the Clippers happen to play each other in a back-to-back in Dallas, Thursday tomorrow and Saturday. So I'll be watching both. I'll probably be watching college football on Saturday. Thursday, yeah. So we're actually playing the Dallas Mavericks, me and you again. So that would be fun to see. Dallas, I saw they were in the NBA Cup semifinal, and I think they lost to Oklahoma City Thunder, or the
Mhm.
quarterfinals, I should say. But what's been going on with the Mavericks? I see that they have a record of, let's see, what are their record? Oh, 17-9. They're second in their division. The Clippers, I believe, were fourth in that division. But Luka Doncic, I saw, was out for the will be out tomorrow for that game against the Clippers with the left heel contusion. Kyrie Irving is also listed questionable with the right shoulder soreness. But despite that, they've gone 5-1 when Doncic has sat out. So it's just weird how these Mavericks have gone. They had that Sunday win in San Francisco over Golden State. So already Klay Thompson's gone to Golden State twice. Lost and then won one. So what else has gone on with Dallas this year?
Not much. I mean, we had a good start at the beginning, and I know you can't win every game, even though everybody wants to think that. I think I think it's been a, I guess, solid year for Dallas so far.
Yeah, you're mentioning the hot start. They were, 1-1, and then they went on. It looked like a 9-game winning streak, I want to say. I think it was 9 games. So that was something to see for them. So yeah, Clippers and Mavericks, and we'll I'll check that out when I get home eventually tomorrow, and maybe after all the college action on Saturday. So yeah, that's going to be fun. Let me find that real quick for Dallas. Again, they were 1-1. And then, I'm sorry, no, wait. I'm wrong. Okay, so they were 1-1 in their last 2 games, of course. But then before that, like you mentioned, they won 7 straight games. And then lost to Oklahoma City, like we mentioned. But yeah, they've had some winning streaks together. They've been kind of fun. And I want to see if they could get back to the finals. I really want to see if that'll happen for the Mavericks. All right, what else is on the docket here before we get out of here? Oh yeah, the Bill Belichick news. We didn't get to talk about it last week, but it's a 5-year deal for Bill Belichick to go to college football. I thought it was just like BS that he was meeting with North Carolina last week, but then they said it was a 5-hour meeting last weekend, right? So I was thinking to myself, why would you be with someone 5 hours if you weren't serious about it or if you didn't like it? Just think about that. If you're hanging out with someone, you're with someone you wouldn't be with them 5 hours unless you really liked them. Trust me. So yeah, North Carolina 5-year deal with Bill Belichick. Michael Lombardi, who does that show Coach with him, that's a great YouTube show. I'm sad that it's going to be gone after this year. But he'll be the GM joining Belichick, and this will be a pro-style kind of atmosphere, the way they'll do things. Like they're bringing that Patriot way, supposedly, to Chapel Bill, it's been called, in North Carolina. I'm going to start saying that from now on. Hopefully we get to talk about the Tar Heels more in football than basketball, but that hasn't been the case. I know Drake May went to North Carolina. He was pretty good there, but the expectations got to have to be huge. Just like in Colorado, I know they had a bad first year. They had a good 2 or 3 games, but then they couldn't get anything going. I think the same thing is going to happen here, where they'll have a bad first year, but eventually they'll grow the program up. But to me, like I was saying before the show, Chris, Belichick was a great master at making trades, but not being a player's coach. And you have to be that with college football now, especially with the NIL and the transfers, where they're literally free agents.
Right.
I know that they did get a 5-star quarterback because they joined him at a basketball game at Chapel Bill. So that's a start, and that's a good start. You know, you always said the quarterback most important, position in the game. So, man, what'd you think about the news from Belichick, after 1 year removed from the NFL, going back to college?
That's surprising, I guess. I wouldn't think of him going back to college. I don't think it's going to work out.
Yeah, I have that doubt, man. I don't know. There was another coach that a notable coach that moved in college sports, Rich Rodriguez. I know the whole story was last week, but we didn't get to talk about it. But Rich Rodriguez is now the head coach back at West Virginia, and remember he was there the last time that they were really, really good. I mean, that's when they had. It was. I shouldn't say really, really good because they did have Geno Smith, but it was a different coach. It was he was there from 2001 to 2007, I want to say. And Rich Rodriguez, he left in bad terms. It seemed like the story was, but they had the whole, presentation for him at the basketball arena there on the campus of West Virginia, and it seemed like people have forgave him. Hopefully, and I know he made stops elsewhere, like Arizona, and I'm trying to remember the other place, but I can't. But it's good to see him back home in a way, and then I'm hoping things do go great for him. He's not going to tolerate, laziness or bad play. The fans won't either. I've learned a lot about West Virginia and their fan base the last week or so with the McAfee influence and how much they hate Pitt. So the Big 12 is at is at stake, and Arizona State won that, by the way. That's why they have the first round bye, the Sun Devils. What do you think about Rodriguez going back to West Virginia, and do you think they can, almost like Belichick, where implement his system and make them winners right away? Or do you think it's going to take a while? Or can West Virginia even be a winning program again?
I mean, he's been there already. He coached there before. I think he'll do good there. I don't know much about him, but I think he'll do good.
The thing that I'm thinking of are coaches that go back to where they were. I think in the NFL at least. Think about Art Shell with the Raiders, Joe Gibbs with Washington. I don't think there's anybody with Dallas that coached him twice. I don't think so. So, no, there hasn't been. But it's always weird because with John Gruden and the Raiders, of course. Remember how that went? and now he's at Barstool. So, it's amazing to think what
Who is?
John Gruden. He has his own channel now on Barstool, but how he would still be the Raiders coach if certain things weren't leaked out. All right. We're almost at that hour mark. But any final thoughts, Chris?
No, I mean, thanks everyone for watching, tuning in. Glad to, that there's, we had some, just stay tuned at Coast to Coast.
Yeah, it's pretty much bedtime. I got the NyQuil gonna work for me here, so we'll get that going, and we'll see you on Entertainment Hour next time you see us with Randy. And be sure to watch again all the programming going on through the week. And we'll see you next time on SportsHour. Take care, folks. Bye.